This presentation is on the accelerator theory, one of the most important theories to help us to understand the economic cycle. We will see that the combination of the multiplier effect, which we have already covered, and the accelerator theory goes a long way to helping us to understand why the economy moves in a cycle over time and does not move steadily up. So let's look at what the accelerator theory tells us. This theory suggests that there is a link between investment spending and consumer spending. That's not really surprising, because investment spending means an increase in productive capacity of the economy. Why would firms want to increase their productive capacity? Well, obviously, because they think demand will increase in the future. Where does demand actually come from? Well, aggregate demand is C plus G plus I plus X, and we know that 60% or more of aggregate demand is coming from consumers, from households. So it's not surprising that there should be a link between consumer spending and investment spending. But what is the relationship between these two? Well, the accelerator theory suggests that investment spending, is linked not to the level of C, but to the rate of change of C. This is a very important distinction. Let's see what difference it makes. Here we have 5 years of consumer spending. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We see that in each of these years, consumer spending is positive. It goes from £100 million to 110 to 150 to 200 and to 180 in year 5. But in every single year, consumer spending is positive. Consumers are spending money. But the accelerator theory suggests that investment spending does not depend on the level of consumer spending, but rather on the rate of change. So the rate of change in year 1 to year 2 is 10%. Consumer spending increases by 10%. So let's imagine that would lead firms to invest £20 million. From year 2 to year 3, consumer spending increases by 36%. So we would expect firms to invest a lot more, according to the accelerator theory. They might spend £60 million on investment spending. From year 3 to year 4, consumer spending increases by 33%, which is less than the previous change. So according to the accelerator theory, investment spending would actually go down. It may go down to, say, £50 million, down from 60. But the really interesting thing is to notice that even though consumer spending has increased, investment spending has decreased. And that's because the accelerator theory says that the rate of change of consumer spending is really what determines investment. Finally, look at what happens between year 4 and year 5. Consumer spending actually goes down. Imagine that consumers lose some confidence in the future and don't want to spend so much money. This has an absolutely disastrous effect on investment spending according to the accelerator theory, because here the percentage change in consumer spending is negative. So what we can see is that the accelerator theory suggests that investment spending may drop to 0 because the change in consumer spending is actually negative. So, according to the accelerator theory, investment spending depends on the rate of change of consumption, not on the level of consumption. This has several important results. Even if C is rising, investment spending may be falling. And if C ever falls, investment spending may go completely to 0. So what we can see is that investment spending can be extremely volatile. It can go up and down very much according to the accelerator theory. So what we can see is that our series of investment spendings have changed very, very much. At first we started with 20 million, then we went to 60 million, then down to 50 million, and then finally down to 0. This volatility, or up and downness, in investment spending is explained by the fact that the accelerator theory suggests that investment spending is linked to the change in consumer spending and not to the level of consumer spending. And as we will see in a later presentation, this accelerator theory plus the multiplier effect helps us to explain why the economy tends to move in cycles over time.